Hey guys, it's Bismal here with What If Alex Mercer replaced Saitama. And for people who don't understand what replace means, because there's a few who don't actually understand for some reason. Basically, Saitama does not exist in this universe, but instead Alex Mercer does. Now that I explain everything, one other thing. Don't forget to check out the Internal Gods of Possibilities channel in the description below, because like with many of my what ifs, he helped me with them. By helping me come up with ideas and what's the word? Spitballing? I don't know. Basically helped me come up with some of the ideas in this what if. But with that said, let's start the video ready. So we start off in a peaceful city, when out of nowhere it blows up. So just a normal day in the Saitama universe. And as buildings are being blown up, somewhere in the air is a flying purple man. But he's more monstrous. He's hairless, he's fully naked, and he's giant. He also has purple skin and antennas. But as he lands, he sees a little girl. He then starts walking towards her and says, well, how disgusting. But as he gets ready, as his hand grows, he gets ready to squish her. But out of nowhere, he hears a voice saying, interesting, are you a natural evolution? Or genetically enhanced? That's when the monster stops before he crushes the girl and turns to see a man in a black sort of hoodie jacket. And it's basically Alex Mercer's clothes, like in the thumbnail. It's hard to describe him. Says, who are you? The man just says, name's Mercer. I'm just a scientist. The monster then says, scientist, your experiments and the outcomes with them is one of the reason Mother Nature is dying. Alex says, your point? The monster then says, due to years of poison and pollution, Mother Earth has sustained massive amounts of damage, so she gave birth to me, so I can cleanse humanity. Alex says, interesting. But if you kill all humanity, who's gonna fix Mother Earth when she needs somebody? But the monster says, fool, Mother Earth does not need anybody. Alex says, she needed you though. The monster then says, I'm gonna kill you, for I'm Vaccine Man. Alex says, shut up. He then swipes his hand, which goes into like some sort of tentacle, and cuts Vaccine Man's head off. Just how easily. He then sticks his hand out, and it extends, grabbing Vaccine Man's head. He then starts absorbing it. Says, huh, what do you know? He was actually made from Mother Nature. Alex then starts walking to the corpse of Vaccine Man. Says, better make it look like I wasn't here. His hand then starts to change, before he smashes the ground, making it look like Vaccine Man was killed by a punch. He then disappears. When we now cut to 3 years later, we cut to a man in a medical uniform running. I don't know why he says, it's a monster! Get away! The minute he tries to leave, somebody grabs his leg and pulls him. Soon other workers see a naked man walk out. But then they see his body start to change. It then changes to a bunch of clothing. They say, what is it? But then someone said, impossible! He was dead! He was brought here dead! Mercer says, where are they? Before screaming is heard. He then shows the man standing in front of a building, but the building is surrounded with some sort of tent, or some sort of and people are miles away. It's when somebody says, "Did you hear? Apparently there's a chemical leak or something. The scientists and a bunch of scientists died inside." And the person says, "How horrible! I heard there was a chance there was a bioweapon being made. Somebody says, who would make a bioweapon in a city? Alex then walks away. But as he's walking, he sees a crab monster approach little kid. His body then starts to morph. Before the crab monster says, "What the hell?" Then Danonor's blood is spilled across a nearby wall. You know, cut back to present day. Alex is walking. And out of nowhere, he hears a siren. And it says, "Dread level dragon nearby." Alex says, "Huh, a dread level dragon, huh? Could be interesting." He then grows a pair of wings before taking off. Then Alex says, "Why the hell am I using wings for?" The wings just disappear and he starts to float. He says, I forgot I gained this ability after I killed Vaccine Man." Alex then takes off. But as he gets near the area, he sees a giant man. Has to be at least 900 feet tall. No, even bigger. It's indescribable. It says, "Incredible. What type of genetic enhancement does this guy have?" But he lands on the man's shoulder. He says, "So what are you?" That's when the voice starts saying, "What the hell? Who are you?" And the man just says, "I am Mercer." Scientist says, but the scientist thinks to himself, "This man looks familiar," and Alex thinks, "Huh, he looks familiar as well." But the scientist says, "I don't know how you get on here, but kill him, brother. Kill that guy in your shoulder." But as the monster smashes his shoulder, he ends up missing and actually hits his brother. Monster then says, "Brother!" Alex says, "I remember who he was now. He was a scientist that worked in bioengineering. I remember he was a huge fan of me. He has some potential, but nah, he's dead now." At least I think that's why I knew him now. I don't know, my memory's a little foggy after the incident. The monster says, "This is your fault." He tries to reach for Alex, but Alex says, "Buzz off," before his hand gets blown up by purple energy. Alex says, "You know what? I'm gonna see what abilities I get from you." Alex then starts to morph before it becomes a giant blade. We then cut to a bunch of people saying, "Did you see what happened?" Like, "Yeah, but what did this?" We then cut back to Alex fighting. Alex is dodging the monster trying to slap him off or grab him off his body. But the minute the monster uses his other hand, his fingers get cut off. So it says, "Ah, bastard!" But then his entire wrist gets cut off. Before the pieces can fall to the ground, tendrils spout out of Alex and latch onto him, pulling him towards him in his Zorplit. This, "Cool, that's the right cut." Alex then jumps so high that he's above the monster. Then says, "Enhance." His arm then goes 40 times its normal size. It's so big that Alex Mercer's body shouldn't be able to support it, even in comedic sense. The monster then gets punched and sent down. But as he falls, Alex starts brushing tendrils to his body. Before the monster can even know it, tendrils surround his neck and cut it off. That's when a hero show up and say, "What happened? Like, did Atomic Samurai did this?" And they're like, "No, he would have cut it in big, smaller pieces. Something else did it." Then they show the monsters with 2 missing arms that seem to be cut off, and a cut off head. And then cut back to Alex walking home. Says, "Interesting. An ability to adjust my size, and also give myself bone armor, but it's still kind of weaker compared to my other armor I've got in the past." In the time, Alex has fought many monsters, and it's at least a high dragon level monster if he was on the ranking system. Alex is smart. He keeps himself hidden. Nobody knows of his existence, because Alex either always blames it or gives other people credit. Mostly a man known as King. Alex says, "Because of his strange heart, the people believe that Keen's some sort of strong man. Though he was actually a weakling. Though to admit, his art is strange. His heart is so loud people can hear it. Says Alexis. Getting home. A cat walks in front of him. Before it starts to hiss at him. The monster soon and the cat soon jumps away. Alex says, "Huh." No, not the monster, I mean the cat. The cat soon hisses at Alex and runs away. Alex says, "Huh. Cat still hate me." Then he hears rumbling. Alex says, "Who the heck is this loser?" But the monster turns around and says, where it looks like I have a guess. My name is, but before you can even pronounce his name, he's already dead. Then cut back to Alex. He's walking. Before he enters his house, which is like an abandoned apartment. Says, "I hate living here. But ever since the incident at the lab, I have to hide. Good thing I was able to extract a bunch of money from my account before they froze it." He then says, "But it's still running low. Should have been more careful. I have been using it for 3 years." But as he lays down on his bed, somewhere else, there is a blonde, robotic man. And this robotic man, it's such an area until he says target acquire. We then cut to the next day. Mercer is peacefully walking. He even kills some weird creatures known as subterraneans, thinking they could have incredible digging abilities, but actually they were just mediocre. But then he stops and sees a TV. The TV says, "There has been a large amount of mosquitoes killing wildlife, and it's said to be hitting near City Z." Alex says, "Huh, City Z, huh? That's where I've been living. Should go back home then. Who knows? Maybe all these mosquitoes could be related to a monster. They could be interesting to be able to control insects." But as Alex is walking back home, a robber is robbing a nearby store. When I don't know, but when he breaks the window, he says, "Can't believe people are scared of a bunch of insects. What's the big deal losing a little bit of blood if we get so much of this loot?" Then a mosquito lands on him, then another, then a bunch start laying him. He starts screaming, saying, "Get off me! Get off of me!" But before the man even knows what's happening, he's dead. He's been sucked dry with his blood. The mosquitoes go back to this weird monster lady who looks like a mosquito. Says, "Delicious. So much juicy blood." But then she hears incinerate. That's when a blast almost hits her, but she barely dodges. That's when she sees a blonde man with robotic armor or skin. And it says, "So you're the reason for these instincts gathering in one spot." And Mosquito says, "Looks like my next meal is here." She then forces all of her mosquitoes to go attack him. But the mosquitoes they can't do anything. He has no much. He doesn't have blood. Then I don't know where a huge amount of fire erupts and incinerates all of the mosquitoes. He then says, "You seem to be controlling them. So if I eradicate you, then they should disperse, correct?" He then starts shooting at her, but she's dodging. She then starts charging them, and while Genos is trying to shoot her, she just dodges and dodges. Finally, she reaches Genos, and with one quick swipe, she takes his arm. But then she's like, "What?" She then sees Genos holding her 2 legs. Genos then throws her to the side. That's when she says, "I gotta get out of here, he's gonna kill me." But as she's running, Genos tries to shoot her. She then says, "There may be no people nearby, but there's plenty of wildlife." She starts summoning all the mosquitoes. Genos says, "Fool, you get them all in one spot for one big blast." But then a voice says, "Interesting. She manipulating the bugs on a large scale. And it seems to be working as a hive. Could be interesting. That's when sorry guys, my throat hurts. That's when General turns around and sees a man in some sort of weird jacket and says, "Who is this guy?" But then they hear laughing. That's when they turn to see the mosquitoes coming at them. But General creates a huge blast, incinerating the entire block in like a huge chunk of the city. He then says, "I thought because of her appearance she has some form of human intelligence, but no, she was no smarter than that damn bug." But then General says, "Wait, hold on, that guy!" But he turns around. It's Alex Mercer just standing there, completely unharmed. It's almost as if fire doesn't hurt him. Mercer just says, "I remember when fire used to hurt me a bunch. But after defeating that weird monster fire creature, get immunity to it." That's when General says, "Who is this man?" But then they hear laughing again. That's when they see the mosquito woman. She's starting to laugh. She says, "Fools! I become stronger than you can possibly imagine." She then swipes and destroys a building. And both Generals and Alex says, "What? How?" Then Alex says, "Huh, that blood she absorbed must have been more than just a food source." And General says, "No, he's right. Should have seen this." But the mosquito girl says, "Time to end this." She then charges. But before she can even realize what's happening, something grabs her and rams her into a building, creating a huge cloud of dust. And General says, "What was that? It was so quick I couldn't see it." Then he hears screaming saying, "Get away from me! Get away from me!" And it's the mosquito girl screaming. She's like, "Get away!" But then she goes silent. That's when, out of the shadows, Alex appears. General turns around and says, "He disappeared? He moved so fast I didn't even notice him leave." Alex then looks at the mosquitoes and they disperse. Says, "Interesting." Then starts walking away. But as he's walking away, he says, her ability, if I evolve her ability, perhaps I can control other insects. Then somebody says, "Hey, what is your name?" That's when Alex turns around and sees the blonde-haired kid. Alex says, "Alex thinks no. Robotic enhancements. Interesting." But Mercer then says, "My name's Mercer." Johnson says, "Please, let me be your disciple." Mercer just says, "Hell no," before walking away. But we then cut to 2 days later. General is studying the computer system, saying, "Mercer, Mercer." Then he sees an award for Alex Mercer, an American scientist that's moved to Japan. That's when he says, "Interesting. So he's a scientist. But how did a scientist become so strong?" That's when a man walks in with strange hair and a long nose. Says, "Why are you looking up Mercer?" And General says, "He saved my life. I asked him to be his disciple, but he said no. I want to convince him though, so I'm trying to see what type of person he is." But then his doctor gives him a strange look. He says, "That's not possible. Alex Mercer is dead." And General says, "What?" The doctor then says, "Yeah, I didn't know much about his work, but he was a bioengineer that after an incident in his lab, it blew up. All his test subjects were incinerated, and all of his lab was burnt down. He couldn't risk an exposure. Whoever you met either looks like Alex Mercer, or Alex Mercer isn't dead. He's something else." Then says, "He moved incredibly quickly, so fast I can barely capture it on my recordings. It's like who is Mercer?" So General tries to spy on Alex, but as Alex goes to the bathroom, General says he goes to the bathroom at something PM. But then he hears, "Why are you taking notes of my bathroom breaks?" That's when he turns around to see Alex. And General says, no, how do you know? Like, but Alex thinks himself, he's robotic so it's a little harder, but I can still sense him. Ethan says, what do you want? General says, I wish to be your disciple. And Alex just says, no. And he says, buzz off. Then cut to another day later. Cut to a kid saying, Mommy, who's that strange people? He then sees Alex standing on the sidewalk with Genos bowing. He says, please let me be your disciple. And he's like, no, leave me alone. We then cut to the next day. We cut to Alex drinking some beer. I don't know where Genos pops up says, let me be your disciple while holding a drink for him. And Alex says, no, but he still takes the drink. We then cut to a montage of Genos appearing out of nowhere and asking to be his disciple. Until finally, Genos says, please allow me to, but Mercer interrupts him. Says, will you leave me alone if I say yes? And it says, no, I will follow you around and study your learning. Mercer says, what would it take for you to stop bothering me? And Genos says, if you accept my offer of being my teacher, I will be your assistant as well. Alex says, fine. But somewhere else, it's a man and a robot. It's studying something. It says, interesting. Something happening to those monsters. Clinking claims he has nothing to do with them. But he's almost took credit for it though. Odd. I need to figure out what is killing these monsters. It could be a threat or a new weapon. That's when a kid voices are saying, what are you doing, Middle Knight? Middle Knight then says, Charlie and brother, may have found a new subject. I'm gonna do more research on it. But guys, I'm gonna end the video here. If you wanna see more, please tell me in the description below. But right now, peace out. Enjoy life. Check out the Internal Possibilities channel in the description below. And do a backflip. Or do a barrel roll. I don't know.